Football. Football. Football.
Hello, one and all, to the show that is all ball, football that is, and back from a hiatus. It's the Football Ball Podcast. I'm Zack, your host, Mr. Stateside, as maybe you've heard of that nickname when you were scanning an unemployed registry. Regardless, hey, today we're back and we're doing some snap evaluation concerning the world's most popular sport and league, specifically the Premier League. We'll dive into the first quarter. Can you believe it? The first quarter of the PL season has come and gone, and we'll talk about who's challenging for the top, some surprises there. Who's sinking to the bottom of the Thames, aka relegation? Not so many surprises there. And then we hand out some awards a la the National Football League over here in the States. They do some post and end of season awards. We'll emulate some of those and hand them out for the 25% progress bar completion of the season so far. And lastly, speaking of the NFL, we will wrap up considering how the refereeing for the two football leagues, EPL and the NFL, are starting to resemble one another. And it's not great. So stay tuned. Be right back. Like and subscribe. Boom. Football ball drop. And we're back. What a start, right? As we've said, we're out of the first quarter of the season. 26.3% for all you nerds out there. So 10 games down, 28 games to go. Storyline so far. It's been a strange brew of league giants like Erling Haaland's Man City and Mo Salah's Liverpool, two title winners in previous seasons not too long ago. They're holding on to the title race for dear life, while ascendant teams like Granit Xhaka's Sunderland and Antonio Semenyo's Bournemouth are in the top five, right? The top of the table is looking the same, but in a lot of ways different. And the same isn't really who's leading the league either. We'll give Arsenal their flowers here in a bit and hope they can be the difference by winning the league over Man City and Liverpool, if not someone else. But those are the teams in second and third place, respectively, as of today. The difference is who is right behind those three giants. It's Bournemouth and the newly promoted Sunderland. They both share an equal point tally with Liverpool as well. Yes, that Liverpool, the one we're just talking about, that won the league last year as well, dropped a major penny in the transfer portal. They are level on points, if not goal differential, goal scorers, some tiebreakers. They're not in the top three. But Bournemouth and Sunderland, right there in the top five. Just a cat's whisker away from being in the top three. So the question is, can they keep it up? History says no. Very rare for these two teams to be in this situation, much less any team in their position to be in this situation as far as financial stability, even in staying up in the league. So we'll see. Can they stay in the top five by summer, bringing them some financial stability, the riches that accompany the invitation to European tournaments? Stay tuned. I mean, for perspective, though, taking even that financial boot aside, they're disadvantaged currently, the advantage they could gain shortly if they're able to pull this off. Let's look at the competitive success and access that Sunderland and Bournemouth have both had to the highest levels of soccer in Europe, much less England, right? Britain. Sunderland was last in Europe in 1973, and that was more for like a club's Winners' Cup, a limited format compared to the current expanse of the Champions League. And Bournemouth, they just entered the Premier League in 2015. There's been a lot of talk about Wrexham. Hey, rightfully so. Love the series. Love my guys. But if Bournemouth makes it to a European competition, right, even the Europa Conference League, 10 years after gaining promotion in 2015, just for their first time in the Premier League, I mean, that's quite the Cinderella story, right? There is some patience there as well that we'll talk about. But this is a story that'll put a huge notice for teams across all profiles financially in the Premier League, that parity is getting real and it's coming. regardless of the budgets and even regardless of having some amazing players on their roster, a firm hand on the rudder, some great recruitment, some great business, and some great on-field performances and tactic, this could be an era of some of these up-and-comers, financially assisted or not, really challenging some of the old guard. But then again, we could check the table in a couple months and see the return of those prodigal sons, the rich ones like Manchester United, Chelsea, Aston Villa, maybe not Aston Villa, but Newcastle. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, and locked in football ball fans. Let's dive into the top three, those title hopefuls, the bottom three, the ones hoping to avoid that you're not going to make that money, the championship, and more on that after this break. All right, welcome back. And so let's hand those flowers out to Arsenal. So the Gunners rewriting the defensive record books on this newest campaign to win the Premier League title. Their first in 20 years. We've all seen the memes. Say, have you ever sent an Arsenal fan an email saying you won the league? No, you haven't, because it wasn't invented. Probably not even true. Anyways, I digress. The historic defense. This Arsenal team has transformed, evolved into a disciplined, ruthless, and organized force. They have conceded just 3 goals in 10 Premier League games and only 1 from open play. That is not from set piece, penalty kick, the ball stopped. We're talking about open play, counterattacks, great goals. Only 1 given up on a non-set piece way, right? Want to hear something more impressive, though? They've conceded 0 goals across all competition. I should say they did concede 0 goals across all competition in October. That was 6 wins, right? A little lighter schedule because international break, but 6 wins over a month competing in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in the League Cup, right? That's something an English team has actually never done before. All wins, 0 concessions. It's something to behold, right? Historically, it's proven. Players are having a hard time even getting shots on target against this team. I mean, so let's go ahead and address the elephant-sized comparison in the room. Let's talk about the Mourinho, the chosen one, the comparison of this team and that 2004-2005 Chelsea team, right? This defensive evolution, this defensive solidification so far, right? A quarter of the way through, so fingers crossed in North London, but it's been so profound that Arsenal is on course to break a 20-year-old record for fewest goals conceded in a Premier League season, right? Long way to go. They're on track. It's not a meme like last year. This team is only conceding goals in the rarest and most absurd of circumstances, like Saliba-Gabriel on a free kick, top corner, right there, can't get there. Arsenal loses the game. Liverpool wins. Championship DNA, we assume. But that's the kind of goal it takes to get by this team, right? So beyond, let's just call it those low XG moments that are really paying off for some teams. Arsenal, of course, an XG bandit on the free kicks, the corner kicks, right? Non-open play goals. What's the successful structure that Arsenal's employing to have this defense be so sturdy and in place, right? It's built on the strength of the Saliba-Gabriel center back fortress of a partnership, right? Arguably the best center back pairing in the league. 2 players that allow much, if not all, of their teammates to play in the attacking portion, right? Calafiori. We've even seen them cover for David Raya. I'm trying to play that sweeper keeper role. They have proven to be the linchpin of this defense, allowing their teammates to play freely and to take some chances to get themselves in a position to then retreat, play a possession game, play a low block game. Arsenal can do it all, and really it's those center backs Saliba and Gabriel that they depend on. But a house cannot stand with just 2 pillars. I feel like I'm an old politician now. We need something there to make it perfectly sound, and the brick and mortar of this squad making it sound is the depth Arteta now has in his squad. when an injury hits, like William Saliba leaving the field, having, a little bit of a nick, a twisted ankle, whatever it may be, a hamstring, a replacement like 21-year-old Christian Mosquera, a newly signed defender from Spain, can step in seamlessly and maintain a defensive standard, right? Not just playing defense, winning balls in the air. Of course, we want that with Saliba-Gabriel. Any modern center back, you want them to be successful in the air and win those duels. But controlling the ball, making the right pass, not panicking. We've seen Mosquera maybe not live up to that exact perfection in some regards that maybe is required by Arteta, but we've also seen him hold the standard and not allow for teams to take advantage of his youth, his newness in the squad, his newness to the system, whatever it may be. That's just one example of the depth this squad has defensively, something that they haven't had in years past. And let's just say, we've kind of alluded to it, but let's just say an opposing team somehow snakes their way into Arsenal's backyard, past all the impediments, right? All those pillars. They're met with a back-to-back Golden Glove winner and bear of a Spanish keeper in David Raya. This guy is electric and is covering all of Arsenal's bases in any ways possible, unless, again, you're going to make the free kick of the season. But speaking of bears and defense, I would be remiss as an NFL fan to not make the American analogy. This is the 1985, I'm not aging myself, that was before I was born, but the 1985 Chicago Bears defense. Google it, look it up, read some articles. It's historic, it's iconic. They didn't just defend leads, they dominated the entire game from back to front. There's an old maxim as well. Defense wins championships. That's true across sport. Arsenal will need that to be true and need that to hold up. To live up to the Football Ball Pod's supercomputer predictions, Opta. Not sponsored by Opta, obviously. Why would they sponsor me? But 81% chance. Opta thinks the supercomputer, this algorithm of all algorithms, this Sam Altman of a creation, the Sam Altman of algorithms, right? I'm just kidding. It's a British company, but they give them 81% chance to win the Premier League. Opta only gives two other teams in the league a chance higher than 10%, and that's Man City and Liverpool, two teams that have actually proven they've could win it in the last 20 years. In fact, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Do we think Arsenal can finally pull off the title-clinching season? It's been a while since the north of London has remembered one. All right, back. And let's talk about that up-and-coming team, that ascendant team, the one that's really catching our eye. The story, in the short term is, of course, Sunderland. We'll get to them in a second. But like I said, the chance to have a true Cinderella team that was promoted in 2015, and if they keep this up, will be in Europe, right? It's Bournemouth. Arola's tactical blueprint. Sorry, trying to pronounce the name of the coach. Should put some respect on that. I'll work on that, guys. I'll get better. But it's been a remarkable rise. They are so high up the table right now, right? 5th place. Again, this is only on goal difference. They're one below Liverpool and Sunderland, point-wise. That just recently happened. They were even higher as of last week, but 5th in the table. This is even more remarkable given that they lost 4 members of their regular defensive back 4. So 4 crucial members. We just talked about defense. 4 crucial members of their defense, along with a goalkeeper in the summer. So they've remade the back completely. This manager, Rolla, God, I said it again. It sounds bad every time, but didn't win his first 9 games last season, okay? We talked again about, the steady hand on the rudder. Maybe not having the financial success yet, but keeping your eye on the prize, keeping your hand on the rudder, and not panicking. Didn't win. The manager doesn't win the first 9 games. No, the board says, hey, it's not no problem, but no problem. They backed him. Now There's always going to be rumors out there, but I'm sure top clubs are taking a notice. And he's proven last year, after those 9 games, and this year so far, to be an absolute menace to play against for any team, right? The top teams or, the teams that he's going to be fighting with, right, for players for some of those quality buys in the middle of the table. So what's the style? Tyler Adams. He plays a big part in it. He really embodies this. Tyler Adams, of course, U.S. men's national team's last World Cup captain, a defensive-minded or a pressure-minded midfielder. He really totally embodies the playing style of Bournemouth. They're aggressive. They're on their front foot. That's totally part of their philosophy. They're always trying to aggressively press a team to win that ball back, to put pressure on them. And this isn't just in the middle of the pitch, is all the way at the highest part of the pitch. So they've proven to have a tactically proficient team on defense and transition, but they're also proving to be pretty darn prolific on the scoring as well. Pretty darn hoot and prolific, guys. They're clinical. Bournemouth has scored 17 goals. Only Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, those prodigal sons, some of them, those behemoths, the teams that are known, for some offensive players, of course. Saka at Arsenal, the Terminator, dare I say his name, for Man City, right? So they've scored 17 goals. They're keeping up. A lot of these goals probably not expected, right? Their XG is only 11.7 and they have 17 goals. So a little bit of luck is poured in there, but that's probably the pressing and the belief that, you make your own luck as well. Because they've scored more goals from outside the box. Get that ball back, take the hit, right? And more goals from fast breaks, right? Win that ball back, take that final ball pass in, take that shot in. They've really done this better than anyone else in the league outside of the box. Fast breaks, counterattacks, right? They're lower probability bets, but they're cashing out and they're being placed immediately if they don't cash out, right? Call it luck or skill. I think they're lucky and good. Speaking of which, what's better than being lucky and good? It's being young. 19-year-old Eli Krupi has scored in 3 of the last 4 games. So close to getting 4 in a row and joining some elite company as far as 19-year-olds have scored 4 games in a row, right? But as a team, top 5, again, making Europe, top 6, even, be a dream season for them. Winning the Champions League, God bless, got a way to go before you do that, Bournemouth, but winning the Premier League, the football ball supercomputer, I had to even process some information myself. The supercomputer only gives them a 0.6% chance of lifting the trophy. So, great story. We'll see where it ends, but it's not going to be likely they're holding up a trophy, dare I say, this season, right? This is more of a finishing position play for them. Finishing position of last year for this team was good enough in the championship. Now we're talking about Sunderland. They're no strangers to the Premier League. As I said, they're actually been in Europe is late or early, it depends on your perspective, is 1973. Great supporters group, Stadium of Light. We've talked about it on previous podcasts, a absolute gem of a grounds to be able to go and watch a game. They're ferocious. The fans, the players, the Black Cats, that's their mascot. And the team, really one that you have to do a double take looking at their performances throughout the season so far, right? Case in point, it was just a couple of games ago, they snatched 3 points from one of the billionaire-driven teams. We're talking about rich Americans pouring billions of dollars into a transfer market in Chelsea. This team, Sunderland, hey, no minnows themselves historically, but they went in, beat a team that some would say was more talented and obviously more compensated, and they snatched 3 points from them. A stunning comeback 2-1 win at Chelsea in the 93rd minute from a substitute, Saliba. And I know what you're thinking, right? Chelsea, they've been on an absolute tear of red cards lately. So, oh yeah, Sunderland went in there and, hey, 2-1 win against 10 men. This is one that, crazy enough, no red cards. Full strength Chelsea lost. Kind of wins that you really need, right? You need the wins against the teams that you're fighting against to avoid relegation, like teams that we'll talk about coming up, like Wolverhampton or Nottingham Forest, or West Ham. But you also need some wins that you're not expected to get, like at Chelsea. That's a huge one for them. They've proven their quality. They normally don't fare this well, speaking of teams that newly promoted, whether they've been there before or not. Less than half stay up. It's a coin flip. Sometimes these teams may even deserve to stay up, but due to the nature of the season, it's extremely competitive, and they may lose by 1 point, even, outscoring teams that previously made it on that point total. The good news for the Black Cats, though, for Sunderland, teams with 11 more points after 10 games have always stayed up, and they have 18. So job well done, Sunderland. They're building that foundation. We'd love to see it. They've been excited to watch, too. They've been energetic, well-organized, ferocious. Sound familiar to Bournemouth, right? This may be like that sea change I was talking about, where the formula may change, where you get some players in there that are a little hungrier, maybe a little younger, maybe a little less expensive. The door will rotate, right? You have to replace them. You have to replace that quality. But there's a chance you pull it off the right year, right time. Leicester City, I don't know. The difference, though, that's Sunderland definitely maybe not as high up the pitch. Sunderland's definitely going to sit back. They're going to park the bus. They're happy defending, 11 players deep in their own box, that siege mentality. So they've proven adaptable, but definitely more defensive than Bournemouth, and definitely more defensive than other teams we'd find in the top six. Arsenal has a amazing, possibly historic defense, but they are a lot of times defending a little bit higher, maybe even uncomfortably high for opposing teams. So, but let's talk about the key men in Sunderland. We've already covered Arsenal. Or have we? Granit Xhaka, anybody? He is now on Sunderland. He came over from the Bundesliga, really made a huge difference. Noah Sadiki, both of these guys are really could go toe-to-toe with any midfield in the Premier League, at least as far as, acumen. These players are essentially player coaches at this point, both on and off the pitch, setting the right example. I wonder if Grant's still driving his smart car around. I bet he is. So the narrative writes itself. Sunderland, a promoted side, is proving unexpected story of the season. And that's because of something the Athletic, the publication, the New York Times publication that also does a lot of really good reporting in the Premier League. When they asked Sunderland skipper, let's butcher another name while we're at it, Regis Libre, and his team returned to the Premier League after 8 years away. There were questions, rightfully so. How would a manager with a limited top flight experience get so many new players to gel so quickly? How would the team with the worst defensive record of the three promoted sides, right, in the championship, the worst defensive record of the three promoted sides, stand up to elite attackers? Okay. And then the third question, did Granit Xhaka really understand what he was getting himself into by coming to the Sunderland side after having so much success in the Bundesliga, historic success, right? But the answer that I think, we've seen is, yeah, a limited top flight experienced skipper with ease has got himself and his players to gel and cope with the pressure. Sunderland, a team that had one of the worst defensive records of the promoted three squads. How would they do in the Premier League, at least so far? We'll see how they do coming up against Arsenal. But so far, they've performed superbly. And Granit Xhaka, I guess, and I don't have to guess, he did his due diligence. He knew what he was getting into. He believed in it. And so far, so good. What does the football ball supercomputer, Opta, what do they predict as far as not staying in the top six, but winning Premier League? I mean, you take a guess, right? 0.03%. So you're saying there's a chance? Be right back after this break. Tired of your club building a beautiful historic engine only to have a new mechanic spend a fortune on shiny and proven parts? Introducing the Slot Rari 5000. It's a new luxury price performance model from the Netherlands. We took all that Klopp era glory, the chassis, the engine, the history, and invested every single penny of the summer budget into new custom parts, like a brand new suspension and a completely balanced interior. Does it win races? No. Does it consistently break down after the first lap, leaving you stuck on 15 points, vulnerable to the counter, and making your new manager look dejected? Your bet your life saving it does. The slot Rari 5000. All the money, none of the glory. All right, welcome back to the Football Ball Podcast. A little bit past Halloween. God, what a fun tradition. Dressed up like a Jurassic Park employee. Even had like a little dinosaur hatching out of an egg with my wife. It's great. It's great. Just got some ramen. Didn't even go trick or treating. Just the vibe. Everybody's dressed up. It's fun. We're great. I digress. But let's get to some doom and gloom. It's been a pretty positive pod. Like to keep it that way, But we got to touch on the bottom three. That's part of the Football Ball Podcast. The relegation delegation. Taking a deeper look at Wolves, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, those teams that Sunderland thought they'd have to be fighting tooth and nail to outperform, to not get relegated. Not the case, because don't worry, there's always Wolverhampton Wanderers. The struggle is real. Just 2 points, talking about stuck on things. They don't have the slot Rari 5000. They've got the Geo shit box. They've looked physically strong, but pretty dysfunctional, technically, mentally. Dare I say the Cleveland Browns of the English Premier League, always hoping, always disappointed, at least as far as this year goes. Got a feel for them. Great fans as well. What's the problem, though? We had a Wolves fan on here probably tell me to F off, but what would they say would the problem be? They bottom the table. They're winless after 10 games. Maybe they would point not to even this season, or what's happening on the pitch currently. We've seen some really good efforts and some heartbreaking losses. I like that most recent one against Chelsea. Red carded Chelsea at that. What a callback. But over the summer, their transfer strategy was an exodus. The club made money. They generated a net profit of $20.9 million, but they paid for it with them. They lost two huge attacking threats in Cunha and Out Nori. I mean, big guys. Cuna's doing fantastic things, making Manchester United absolutely relevant in the title race. The stats, it's basically 60% of the Wolves' goal involvements from the last two seasons came from players that are no longer at the club. So brain drain, talent drain, whatever you want to call it, a profit, right? But now those dividends are wreaking havoc on their current season. It's not like they didn't bring in players, though. It's just they didn't work out. That's part of the strategy we've talked about earlier, that if you are going to work within a budget, within a system, then you've got to make replacements to the players that you've helped succeed, that have moved on. And what did Wolves replace these players with? Fer Lopez, Tolu Rakudare, John Arias. They've only contributed basically one assist between them so far. So just black holes on their roster. They are the definition of an identity that has been hollowed out. So not too much to talk about there. Some misery abjectly for Wolves. And, 2 points is not going to get you very far in a Premier League. They are in massive, massive jeopardy of being relegated. Supporters not happy about that. The protests will continue. Chinese ownership may just be trying to make a buck. That all may be hearsay. So God bless. Thoughts and prayers, Wolverhampton Wanderers. All right, let's stay in the W's. West Ham United. The post-European hangover is real. They're second bottom at the table, and really still 4 points from safety. They did have a great win last week. Burnley is still ahead of them by 3 points. So they need 4 to be safe, I would say. It's going to be a long season for them. They brought in Nuno Espirito Santo. He's fighting to turn the season around. Looking like that, I'm saying I'm a lot, but Newcastle, big 3 points for them last game. Huge, absolutely fantastic. I believe in Nuno. He's done it in the right places. Well, he's not really had the time, unfortunately, at Tottenham and Newcastle. Nottingham Forest, right? Tottenham and Nottingham Forest, to Wolves, if that matter, right? Now I'm just naming teams, but I believe in him. And I think if the team actually stakes their future on him, keep up the good vibes, it's going to be a long season, because your team, they're hemorrhaging goals. They've conceded a almost league high 21 goals. Only Wolves have conceded more. Not good company to be in. It's a lack of quality. It's been an issue for a few seasons, getting those new players in, getting those defensive players in. Yeah, not much to say. They need players. They have transfer needs. The club is reportedly looking to sign at least one striker, one midfielder, one defender. I mean, that sounds like a color by numbers transfer strategy, but hey, anything would help. If they actually have someone go in, believe in the program, and commit to turning this team around and fitting Nuno's philosophy, they can maybe survive this season. So that's something they'll be looking in the winter transfer portal. Again, not much to say there. Glad to see the turnaround. It started off really bad, but maybe there is a little bit of a turnaround, and we will see West Ham jump Burnley, jump some other teams that are just above that relegation zone. Speaking of teams that were way above it, just way above it, Nottingham Forest was almost the story of the season last year, making Europe, coming from nowhere, playing a lovable, traditional, the game's still alive type of soccer, type of football with counterattacks, physicalities, winning off set pieces, just gritty wins. I think a lot of neutrals really enjoyed watching them last season. Nothing good lasts forever. That's the theme of this segment. They're the biggest underachievers so far. It's been a story of managerial chaos. It's musical chairs, as we say in the U.S. when it comes to the NFL sacking and hiring sprees. They brought in Ainge after firing Nuno. He was then sacked after just 39 days. That their owner, Americanus, is forced like dizzying tactical changes by hiring these different managers, shifting from a direct counterattacking style to Big Ainge's high possession approach. And guess what? They brought in a new guy, right? Because we said that Ainge was just fired after 39 days. The replacement just got replaced by Sean Dyche. The meme is back in the Premier League. Glad that I think most teams are happy they played Ainge and not Sean Dyche. So he's their third head coach in a turbulent season, another reversal in style, and we can only guess what the players are thinking and their ability to adapt to these constant tactical shifts. So it's definitely proven out in the Premier League. This is a team that is sitting on 6 points, has only won one game, -12 goal differential, and again, they just last year were at the heights of the Premier League, planning their European travel, and probably, counting their eggs before they hatched, at least insofar as their Greek owner was directed. So Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and the bottom dwellers Wolverhampton Wanderers. The relegation delegation so far, if I had to guess at this moment, 2 of the 3 of these teams will be relegated. That would be my unprofessional opinion, and I don't even have to ask the football ball machine for that one. So be right back after this break. Football Ball Podcast, like and subscribe. Do you feel like refs are out to get you? Does every close call go against your team? Well, you should sign up for the VAR refresher course. Hey, man, do you feel like the refs are out to get you? My brother, does every close call go against you and your team? Could I recommend signing up for the VAR refresher course? It's an interactive 3-minute lesson where we explain why a handball in the box is totally fine when your team does it, but unfortunately, it's a clear penalty when the opposition does. So we're not going to fix the refereeing, but we will confirm your bias because football officiating is a choose-your-own-adventure, right? All right, and welcome back to the Football Ball Podcast. Let's throw a little American cheese in the show for a second and go through our American Size Award show. It's the Premier League Quarter Season Awards. We love awards here in America, participation trophies included in my case. So the first award, the big one in the NFL year, the big guy, the one that really drives the betting, it drives the narratives, the stories. It's normally indicative of a player, specifically a quarterback on a football team that takes his team to a 1 or 2 seed, normally a 1 seed, where you get a bye. In America, we don't do season trophies. We do postseason trophies. Anyways, I digress. So the most valuable player, the guy that is putting his team on his back. We're not going to do any defensive players for this award. It's going to be all Terminator, all offense. Erling Haaland for Man City. This guy is the best. If you listen to the top 3, bottom 3, all my guys agree that he's the best. Every guy that I know. I'm just kidding. But he leads the league in goals. 13 in 10 games. He's just by far the most dominant offensive player, forward, whatever you may have. In America, traditionally, I may be a little biased. There's a little Kansas City right behind me right there, but this Erling is playing like a prime Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player, even if his team isn't. Defense is a little shaky, a little Swiss cheesy. This guy doesn't care. He'll score one more point than the other team, and that's what sport is all about. MVP, we salute you, Erling Haaland. All right, let's move on, because in America, we also like confusing awards, and this is the offensive player of the quarter. Of the year in America, but of the quarter for this season. And since, as I mentioned, the MVP is not going to non-quarterbacks, the NFL needed a different award for the non-quarterbacks that are good at offense, too. So for us, we're going to go with Semenyo for Bournemouth. Talked about them earlier. High-pressing, offensive powerhouse, or at least making lemonade out of lemon so far. He has 9 goal involvements, and that's only second to Haaland. So this is a Christian McCaffrey-like player. He's a non-QB driving an unlikely offense. This guy is the key to Bournemouth actually having a chance to pull off that Cinderella season and making Europe, making top 5, top 6. So Antoine Semenyo. Yep, I said that right. I think I've got that one right. I feel pretty good about that one. You are the offensive player of the quarter. We salute you. So if you have offense, you have to have defense, right? Defensive player of the quarter, defensive player of the year. This one doesn't really make a lot of sense in America. It could be almost any position. It was a cornerback last year, which cornerbacks just cover wide receivers like my size. Not really bigger than me, but but we're going to throw this one to an Arsenal player. We talked about how historic Arsenal's defense was, but the real key to success isn't that their defensive players are just good at defense. They're also good at offense. But this guy, Jurrien Timber, he is really a linchpin of the creativity of the defense, the pace of playing forward, the ability to track back, and he's going to be the reason, if he stays healthy and performing at this level, that they smash that 20-year-old Chelsea record for the lowest goals conceded. Now I'm really getting American succeeded, but conceded in a Premier League season. The analogy for the NFL, Myles Garrett, who plays for the Browns. Browns not good. Browns defense, pretty amazing. And he is the reason. He's an elite talent, and he is leading a ferocious defensive unit. He is maybe not the face. I know Myles Garrett is the face of that unit. Jurrien Timber may not be the face or the foundation, those pillars of the Arsenal defense, but he is making a case for himself that he will be the face in the future of their record or their success this season. All right, let's move on to this. We love rookies. We love new stories here in the United States, right? Who is going to be the college kid coming into the NFL in his class? It's relative, of course, but in his class, who was the best rookie? Who was the new player on the scene that is busting down doors and making a name for themselves? And it's Bournemouth. It's a Bournemouth player again, Krupi. As we talked about earlier, even with the hype of all the young players across the Premier League, at all the top clubs, he is actually living up to the hype by adding to the scoreline and making headlines, right? He was so close to being one of the only 3 teenagers to ever have scored in 4 consecutive Premier League games. He failed to do so against that loss in Man City last game, but he is so far, for me, the rookie of the quarter season, or at least the rookie of the season represented in that quarter season award. What's the analogy, though? A little bit of a deep cut for you casuals, but this season, Drake May playing for the New England Patriots. Yeah, Tom Brady gone. He's cloning his dogs and making poor commentary on American football. Drake May is now the quarterback of the New England Patriots, and Drake May is a newcomer making a massive immediate impact. Defeated Josh Allen, right? Has a chance to put himself in an MVP conversation, even so young, even though he's not technically a rookie. But he could lead his team to a situation where they are in a great spot to make a deep run in the playoffs. So we salute you. Eli, you are the rookie for me. All right. Finally, last but not least, the comeback player of the quarter. Another American award that doesn't truly make sense. Is it like you came back from being shit? That's sometimes like Joe Flacco. We're about to dive into just shortly here, but Joe Flacco used to be bad. Now he's good. Always the comeback player of the year. Is it, did you almost die and you came back from an injury and now you're playing football and you're playing at a good level? Are you the comeback player? It's really eye of the beholder. So for us, it's Granit Xhaka. He literally came back to the Premier League, played for Arsenal before, had a love-hate relationship with the fans, you could say. He's now back at Sunderland, and it's a love-love relationship so far. He's providing elite midfield control to this newly promoted team. And for me, like I said, he's a field general. He came back to a newly promoted team. He is playing out of his mind, just like, you guessed it, Joe Flacco for the Bengals. He's a veteran proving his doubters wrong in a new surprising location. Who would have thought Granit Xhaka would be at Sunderland just a year ago, right? Even looking at that transfer news, I was like, no way. But he did it. It's paying dividends. There are the awards. Granit Xhaka, you're the comeback player of the year. One more break, and then we wrap up the show with, the final shot. One more ball. That final comparison with the refereeing that's just been miss so far in the Premier League and honestly the NFL. So be right back. Tired of the same old food tactics? Do you crave a dish that will leave you questioning your life choices? What is this copy? All right, anyways, come on down to the City Ground Taverna. What's your owner, Evangelos, runs the show. Last month, our special was an authentic, rugged, Nuno's counterattack Solvaki. It was a consistent, defensive dish that got results. Then the owner woke up and fired the chef, replacing it with new experimental Angeball mez platter. High possession, short passes, and absolutely zero goals. But after failing to win a single table, the owner fired that chef too. And now we're on to the famous, heavy-duty Dyke's long ball Masaka. Man, this has been an episode for mispronunciations. Your kitchen will be left trying to adapt to 3 different styles in 5 weeks. What does the owner care? Don't expect stability. Don't expect results. Just expect the owner to come out and change your order mid-meal. The City Ground Taverna. It's a relegation battle. I mean, a culinary adventure. Opa! All right, welcome back to the Football Ball Podcast. Here we go. The final 2 thoughts. Thanks for sticking around or, hey, watching the clip, right? We passed by Halloween. We're rushing towards the international break, towards Thanksgiving. Look up that fun American holiday. If you don't know, it's Genesis. But let's reflect on the surprising season so far one last time and make one prediction. What do you say? Just one for the next quarter. I would say I would give a little caution for Arsenal. The real test is coming. The team knows more than anything else the real test is coming. They know what it's like to be so close and not taste champagne. They're the runners-up. It seems like on and on and on. They have historically stumbled to that point when pressure mounts against deep-lying defensive teams, mid-table teams, lower-table teams. The pressure to score used to seep in to their offensive play. They're going to face Sunderland and Tottenham. That's 2 great tests. to really prove a point, to set yourself up aside as a Premier League title contending and winning team. And then once you get past those low block teams, you're still going to have to slay the Dragons. You're going to have to slay those perennial contenders in Liverpool and City. You can't wait to take the legs out of an Arsenal team closing in on the finish tape. So I guess my prediction is cheers to the Gunners' health. I think this team is going to get a lot of players back. Madueke, Havertz, Martinelli, Odegaard. I think this team will, in the next quarter portion of this Premier League, find themselves with an even higher difference of points with second place. Dare I say 10. Here's to your health. Here's to your focus, but a caution, right? Arsenal's been here before, and they know that this can get a little sideways on them. All right. Anyways, the final ball. 2 wrongs don't make an entertainment or an entertaining product. The NFL for a while now has been known. It definitely has been known by Mr. Stateside and all of our Statesidians over here. But the NFL has been known for controversial ref decisions that snatch frustration from the jaws of delight. NFL refs look at replays. NFL refs make the wrong call, then look at replays 100 times to ensure something is clear and obvious, and eventually get it wrong anyways. Does that sound familiar to Premier League fans? I don't know. VAR has, in some circles, diminished the quality of the competition, and in yet even other circles, talking about the Premier League, it stirred up controversy. They don't even have players engaged to Taylor Swift, and there's controversy. We watch instant replay in the NFL, VAR, the Premier League, and it's not clear and obvious. It's not making the right calls. It's not intervening on obvious issues, right? On things like, is the ball out of bounds? Things that we at least see get right more often than not in the NFL. So I just see the Premier League taking on a little bit of that instant replay, that watch and rewatch, that drama, right, for lack of a better term, that kind of ruins games for the losing team, for neutrals, dare I say even for the winning team. So the other side of the coin, the NFL does its own emulations, right? And that's an apt term to use. And speaking of players engaged with Taylor Swift, speaking of Travis Kelce, right, he and others, it's not just him, it's not just the god Patrick Mahomes, it's Josh Allen. We saw it last week in the Chiefs-Bills game, a hand grazing the helmet of Josh Allen, and he simulates whipping his head back, getting hit, something that would constitute a penalty in the NFL, right? Bunch of different penalties it could be, necessary roughness, more likely than not. They've taken notes, right? Some of these elite players, some of these players that want to work the refs, they've taken notes from the swan dive scene in the Prem, baiting officials to having to make a call for unnecessary roughness or for yellow or for a red. These are penalties, specifically in the NFL, unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer. These are penalties that in its spirit are created to protect players from injury in a seriously physical sport. So please, NFL, penalize simulation, right? Penalize these swan dives. And please, Premier League, use VAR for good and not for controversy. And as they say in Texas, and I think Georgia too, common sense isn't so common, but it could be. All right. Follow at Football Ball Pod on Twitter and Instagram, right? Look us up all there. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you a lot quicker than last time. Looking to have one out on Sunday, Monday, to kind of go over
Football
what
Bowl.
we saw in this upcoming match week. Stay safe out there.
Football Bowl.
Football Ball Podcast out.